Today I'm going to be trying to recreate quite an iconic film poster. Can this be done? I don't know, but I'm going to give it a go. E.T. was one of my favourite films as a kid. It was the first film I saw at the cinema, and I hid under the seat for most of the time. I was very little. But since then I've seen it again, and I used to love the character of E.T. I had E.T. toys, and whenever it was on the TV I used to watch it. So we're going to go and try and recreate the big moon with the silhouette of E.T. on the bike. It's quite iconic, I think. I've been thinking about this for a while. My original idea was to just paint the background, but since then I have done a moon that I was quite pleased with, just embroidering all the details of the moon. So then I was in a bit of a dilemma as to which way I should go. But I have decided, because the picture is quite a blue moon, there's not actually a lot of white on it, I'm going to start with a background of blue painted fabric, and then I'm going to embroider details onto it. So this is the fabric that I'm going to use, a little offcut. And I'm just experimenting a little bit with the paint. I did some experimenting on felt a little while ago, you can see that video, but this fabric is quite different. You can see the watercolour is barely sort of going on there, but in places that might be quite useful. It's difficult. I think I need to just be brave and go for it. Problem is, once you've done it, it's not like embroidery, you can't unpick it. What's done is done. So I just wanted to have a look really at the colours. And basically see if we can create some darker and lighter effects. I think that on its own is a bit dark. But looking at the pictures, most of it is sort of this colour. So I need to mix up a lot of this blue and water it down a bit as well, just so I've got some lighter blue that I can blend in with. I'm going to leave it to dry and then just have a little look at it. And then we're going to have a go on the hoop. I have my hoop ready now. This is not a great hoop, I have to tell you. I'm not even sure when and where I picked it up. It doesn't have a screw, and whenever I've put something in it I've not been able to keep the tension. I even taped the inner hoop, but that didn't seem to work either. But anyway, I am using it for this project because it is the biggest hoop that I have. It's about 30 centimetres, I think, and I think it will make a good display hoop. I think it's going to keep the tension enough once I've done the sewing to display it. So for the moment, while I'm doing the painting, I put it in just so I'm aware of the size that we are aiming for. So I had a little play with the paints, just got a bit scared. Think I'm just gonna go for it. Probably gonna go with real pale blue background. That way I can try and rectify any mistakes. Like I said, I'm going to start really pale definitely like a circle, a dark circle here, which I might try and do with a paintbrush to get slightly cleaner lines. But apart from that, I don't really want any pencil, any brush marks, sorry. You can see it's wrinkling up already, and that's not the paint, that's the hoop, which is very annoying. I'm going to do the blue all over. Obviously around about here will be ET, and here we're going to have some trees going up, but I'm going to sew over it. At the moment I just want a good look at the moon. It is pretty white, got a white stripe here and this area, so I'm going to focus on the top bit. Bottom section is very white, but to me that was too much of a contrast between the blue and the white, so we are going to carry on. I think I'm finished with this at the moment. I think less is more probably in this situation, because I am going to add detail with embroidery. I'm just going to take it out of the hoop, because you can see around the edge, gone onto the hoop, but that doesn't matter, there's quite a white line, which is fine around the bottom, but looking at my picture I don't want it to be quite so obvious all the way around, so in some places that's okay. I think you would see a white edge around the edge of the moon, but not in all places. So just in places I'm going to just take it over the hoop line a bit. Did end up using the paintbrush a little bit. I wasn't expecting to. I thought I was going to do it all with the sponges, but actually, as long as the paint was really watery, it still blended in nicely without sort of showing any marks, which was what I was worried about, paintbrush marks. Sometimes really hard to know when to stop, but I'm stopping here. This has dried really nicely. I'm really pleased with this. Got some darker areas, and now I've got some blue threads, all my blue threads, which I'm just going to try and match a few with. Got a really nice navy blue there, but eek, might be a bit dark. Going to add some white, although we've got a cream here, so might have to find an off-white. Need a really pale blue. Got a little bit there, but it's a bit grey blue. do with an even paler one than this one. So before the white, but after this blue. But I think these might be too dark, but these are quite a good range. So I will sew some detail on, which will give the moon some texture. But before sewing, I'm gonna draw my little ET. So I've got a little template here, which I just printed. I think it's about the right size. I couldn't quite decide. So now I need to decide whereabouts to put him. I think I was thinking here when I was painting. But at the top of the hoops here, it might be a little bit low down. So I might go for that. Right, I've decided now. He's going there. He's a little bit further away from the hole than I'd like. But I think the trees are going to come up here. So to balance it out, he definitely needs to be on this side rather than down here. So I'm just going to draw around the outline. You could just stitch without a template. I'm just going to do the outline, and everything, the wheels, the arms and things will be added in as I stitch. I'm just going to use a sharp pencil and I aim to cover up all the pencil with my stitching, because obviously now I've painted the background with watercolours, there is no washing it. Not sure if I'll do this guy ET first and the trees, or whether I should concentrate on getting the moon right. I think I will. I think we'll do the big features now, the trees and ET, and then sewing around those things to put the definition of the moon. I've not done a template for the trees. I feel like they're a little bit easier to shape, so hopefully I'll be okay just going by eye. And what I will do is I will probably do something similar to fern trees, so do a large trunk, probably 3 or 4 coming down in size, and then leaves coming off. All the trees and ET will be done in jet black to try and get the silhouette effect. So I'm going to hoop it back up and start stitching. Finished most of the sewing now. You can see that ET on the bike turned out really well. You can hardly tell it's stitching, to be honest. It could be a little felt cut out, but that is long and short stitch, very small long and short stitches. I've got the shadows of the trees here. As you can see, they are made up of individual stitches because I still wanted you to be able to recognise that these were trees in front of the moon. I think I'm going to fill in a little bit here and here. I'm going to take it out of the hoop and go right to the edge. Then that's the black stitching done. I am really pleased with how it's looking, so I'm kind of tentative about how to add more detail to the moon without sort of spoiling the look, because I'm very pleased with how it looks at the moment. Then I'm going to have a go maybe with a few darker stitches and see how that looks before I try the whole thing. Here is the finished ET piece. Quite pleased with how it turned out in the end. I did add in some extra stitching. I was very tentative because I liked the effect of the watercolour as it was, and I started with quite a dark blue and the contrast was too much, so then I found a blue that was almost the same colour as the paint, and that worked a lot better. So we've got a darker blue, a pale blue and a white as well for highlights. Giving it a black frame because I really wanted it to sort of stand out. And I think we've done it. I think we've achieved what we wanted to achieve.